Welcome to the Know. I'm Ashley.
I'm John.
So Justice League hit theaters this last weekend. It's already setting some records.
Yay!
Unfortunately, not the kind DC wants.
Yay!
DC's answer to the Avengers. Its first big team-up movie starring all its really big, iconic DC heroes. Might have an audience problem.
What kind of audience problem?
lack of audience.
Oh yeah, that is a problem. The movie set a record for the lowest grossing weekend for any DCEU movie, and now its lackluster response from fans has some people questioning what's the future for a group of legendary superheroes that, unlike their counterparts at Marvel, don't seem to be resonating with audiences.
Yeah, well, alright, so here's some background in case you haven't been following movies or really any pop culture lately, because that's what it would have taken to miss Justice League entirely.
Yeah.
Justice League hit theaters this past weekend. Expectations were very, very high for the movie.
Because the budget was really high.
Yes.
Ever since rival Marvel has been printing money with their superhero franchises, Studio Warner Brothers and DC had high expectations for the Justice League team-up, which would bring together a stable of legendary superheroes, including Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Flash, and Aquaman, and make a boatload of money while riding the sometimes faltering DC ship.
I mean, it seemed like a pretty safe bet, honestly. Look, while DC movies like Batman v Superman and Suicide Squad have had their issues with poor reception from critics, they still made a lot of money.
They did.
A lot of people went to see these movies. And more recently, Wonder Woman seemed to show that DC has been correcting the course a little bit. It launched to both great reviews and big box office returns. Success!
So, would Justice League be another step in the right direction? Turns out, no. No, sorry.
Unfortunately.
It only grossed an estimated $96 million at the domestic box office. Now, normally, that would be a strong number for a lot of films.
I think most films would be thrilled to make $96 million at the domestic box office in the opening weekend.
Well, it's at 96 in domestic.
96.
But this is a big budget superhero movie, so the rules, they're different. You gotta make a lot of money if you spend a lot of money.
A little bit different, yes. For one, the movie was initially projected to make $110 to $120 million at the box office just this domestic opening weekend. For another, the movie cost a lot of money to make, $300 million by some estimates. Plus then you chuck in the marketing costs, which usually add substantially to that total. I think the golden rule is take your production budget, double it. And that's what you're gonna need to break even once they add in all the marketing.
Yep. Deadline quoted sources who have sharp knowledge of Justice League's budget that if the film clears $700 to $750 million globally, that will turn a profit, but not a very big one. So, like most superhero movies, the studio had a lot invested in Justice League, and as of right now, that bet, it's looking a little shaky.
Yeah, the lower than expected returns prompted a lot of speculation that the DC universe of comic book movies, well, such as it is, since it sounds like they're focusing a lot more on standalones than team-ups from here on out, is in big trouble.
Box office analyst Jeff Bach of Exhibitor Relations told The Hollywood Reporter, while Marvel movies are now considered family entertainment, mostly because of their abundance of humor, DC films outside of Wonder Woman haven't found the magical formula yet. In fact, the disappointing opening of Justice League only further cements how poorly Batman v Superman was received. Nothing erodes a franchise or a brand faster than negative word of mouth. Justice League and the entire DC universe outside of Wonder Woman has an identity crisis.
Yeah.
That's the comic reference.
And like we said, Justice League's opening weekend total was the lowest box office take for any of the 5 DCEU films so far, which is a little bit unsettling considering that it's got a very long way to go before it makes its money back. And it's banking on the combined draw of DC's biggest heroes. Like, if that's not getting people to the theater, what will?
A good movie. For its part, Warner Brothers...
Hey.
Wonder Woman was good. Wonder Woman was great.
Justice League was not terrible.
It wasn't terrible. That's exactly what we want people to say about your movie, that it wasn't terrible.
Yeah.
For its part, I'm going to get so many comments now. For its part, Warner Brothers tried to deflect from the disappointing weekend, pointing instead to this upcoming Thanksgiving weekend as the real barometer for how Justice League will do.
Well, Warner Brothers domestic distribution boss Jeff Goldstein said, it's not just about the opening weekend, but it's about the length of the run, especially given the extremely lucrative Thanksgiving holiday. We have lots of room to run, which isn't wrong actually, considering kids are starting to get out of school as of, well, today, or I guess technically as of end of Friday, but this is when their holiday is now started, and that'll only increase through the week. Surely some of them are gonna want to go to the movies. Still, Goldstein added, our path to ultimate box office success is different from what we thought it would be. So bit of an admission there that they've come in below target on their opening weekend.
Yeah, they got to be honest with their results. But Justice League performance has got some wondering. Have audiences finally had enough of superhero movies? Have we hit a saturation point of people in spandex fighting crime?
Well, I mean, not so fast because, I mean, if you'll remember, Marvel Studios' Thor Ragnarok debuted to more than $122 million in North America 2 weeks ago. It's kind of showing that audiences can't get enough of some things. Well, Thor and Hulk at least. So they're still there for some superhero movies, but for whatever reason, Justice League didn't get people to turn up.
Now, some are wondering if Justice League releasing so closely to Thor Ragnarok might have hurt its performance, considering Thor Ragnarok had a lot of positive buzz and great critical reviews leading up to its release.
So maybe if people were making a decision between the two, they chose Thor Ragnarok?
Possibility.
ComScore's Paul Kdin told The Hollywood Reporter, one could argue that Thor may have inspired a heightened level of excitement for the genre, though it could be argued that audiences got the superhero fix they needed with Thor.
Based on the first weekend's returns, it's clear the Justice League wasn't in Thor's league. Instead, it was much closer to a very infamous movie, 1997's Batman and Robin.
Oh, yeah, okay.
You need to go back and rewatch that movie.
Do you?
Yeah, just want to have some fun. Justice League only did about 14% better at the box office than Batman and Robin did, and that movie flopped so badly that it killed off an entire franchise for several years. Not the company you want to be in.
Well, okay, sure. But look, we'd been hearing a lot about problems with Justice League for a while. Most notably, director Zack Snyder stepped down to deal with the death of his daughter. It was replaced by Joss Whedon, who ended up doing a lot more reshoots than initially expected. And then there are a lot of people wondering, when they watch this movie, what bits are still Zack Snyder's and what did Joss Whedon change? And so you get, there's a little bit less of a cohesive identity, I guess.
Yeah, but so there's a lot of movies that are made by multiple directors, and directors come in late. Even Back to the Future, they swapped directors like days before going.
They swapped actors.
Yeah, they swapped actors. I mean, it happens. So some fans are already circulating a petition for Warner Brothers to release director Snyder's cut of the film. Well, it's not clear if such a version even exists. The petition already has close to 60,000 signatures on change.org.
The petition says that fans have been waiting for years, while others have waited decades for the film to finally arrive on the silver screen. The 2-hour runtime is disrespectful towards Zack Snyder's vision and towards the fans who have waited more than a year to see the Aliens story come to an end.
But don't hold your breath for that. Meanwhile,
like I said, we don't even know if there's a finished cut that exists somewhere.
Yeah, a lot of the weekend news for Justice League wasn't good. There were some bright spots. Internationally, Justice League did much better, making more than $185 million for the weekend.
That does help.
Yep, that brings its overall global total to more than $281 million so far, so there's a chance that it might get some good word of mouth going, and if it can keep the momentum internationally and gain some steam domestically over the long weekend, it could end up in a good place.
Yeah, I think that would do pretty well. For Rotten Tomatoes wrote that a final worldwide tally in the neighborhood of $700 million is still possible, and while the movie didn't do all that well with critics, it has a 46 on Metacritic, 39% on Rotten Tomatoes. Justice League got some relatively strong audience scores according to ComScore. And at the end of the day, it's those audience scores that they're the people paying to see the movie.
Correct.
So that's important.
Also, at the end of the day, Kdin said that the bar for the genre has been raised. And he's right. As the genre has matured, the quality of the movies has gotten better. It's largely been set by Marvel, but also by recent stuff from DC, like Wonder Woman. And, I mean, we got Deadpool out of Fox, so that's pretty cool.
And there are a lot of people liking Logan.
Logan's also fantastic. So, future DC movies like Aquaman, that's still scheduled to release in December of next year, will just have to live up to that.
I do feel like it's a good problem for us to have, if, you know, as fans of comic book movies, that there's so much good stuff out there that you're like, well, let's see, which awesome superhero movie do I want to go see this month?
Sure.
And, you know, I saw Thor Ragnarok, I saw Justice League. I didn't think Justice League was bad. It was a solid step up from Batman v Superman. Okay, well, what?
I just love that the conversation always about Justice League now is that it wasn't bad.
Look, sometimes I just want a movie to be watchable, and I really like a lot of the heroes in that. And I could sit down, and there were a lot of great action set pieces, and that was fine. Is it gonna win Oscars? I mean, it's no Suicide Squad. I don't know if it's gonna get an Academy Award, but overall, like, I had a good time while watching it. There were a couple scenes where I was like, huh. But for the most part, I was like, let's do this, save the world.
Good, I'm glad. I didn't hate it as well, but I don't like to go see movies that I don't just hate, and so that's just me, though. Other people have different goals at the movie theaters.
All right, well, what do you guys think of Justice League struggling at the box office? Did you see it? If you did, what did you think? Did you not hate it? Did you enjoy it? Let us know in the comments.
Let me know if you hate me in the comments. I'm sure you will.
And for all your Justice League and DC news, make sure you like this video. If you're new around here, subscribe to the know.
It wasn't terrible. I will agree on that note. I just laugh at the fact that that's the conversation, that it wasn't terrible.
I think they should make that like the quote on all the posters.
Yeah.
It's not terrible. ComScore's Paul Degarabedian.